hard to believe the little green dot is camera.
Yeah, now we're live with all that. So welcome, everybody. We're here going live with Betty Albee and Kim, and we are going to discuss powerful medicine. We're going to be talking about metaphysical science and looking at specific quotes and things like that. Anything you want to say to start this all off, Betty?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was listening last night to Margaret Laird's seminar in Los Angeles in 1973. And she talked about Watergate, you know, the Watergate scandal in Washington, D.C. back many years ago.
Yeah.
And everything she said about Watergate can be applied to present government, can be applied to pandemic, can be applied to any global situation. It's just fabulous. So I just wanted to mention that.
Okay, it's good. So that was which one was that again? Tell me.
Margaret Laird's seminar in Los Angeles, 1973.
Okay, and that's available at the Institute of Metaphysical Science website, scientificmetaphysics.org, and you just go to the store.
It's either an MP3 or a CD.
Right. Okay, so if people want to follow up on that, they can.
Right.
All right. All right, so today what are we going to be exploring? What's the idea?
Well, I used a quote from Mrs. Laird in her book, Christian Science Re-Explored, and it says the objects of sense have existence because sensing must have a sense for self-conscious identity. Form follows function. Think of objects of sense as information about the function. So the functioning presence that is being itself, is whole, it's perfect, it's joyous, it's free, and any other experience I have of that tells me that I'm standing in limitation, whether I know it or not. So language is a feedback mechanism, and it's valuable because right away I know if I'm not standing in the fact of my own being, if I'm standing in a belief about what I'm looking at as if there was something out there separate, no wonder I'm in trouble. There's no science in that view.
Right. Yeah, I remember from a seminar that you gave a while back when you said, I am all. And it's not all like all of a box of cereal. All is all. And if you look at the divinity of who we are, who I am, who you are, all of that, you look at the divinity, there's no limit there. So
Right.
that it ties right in, right? And I just want to go through and say, now when you say language is the seen, heard, felt, taste, touch, everything we're looking at, the world we walk through, we call that language.
Yep.
Okay, I just want to make sure that everyone's clear about what we're calling language.
Yeah, in my book, Mind is the Athlete, I have a whole chapter or two talking about language.
Right.
So yeah, absolutely. All of the seen, heard, and felt, human daily activity stuff is language. And for each one, that's unique, you know. We look and we think we both are seeing the same table, the same friend, the same garden gate. What we're seeing is our concept of that. And your concept of that and my concept of that are not the same,
Right.
Not remotely. We might agree on a color, but your sense of blue and my sense of blue are not identical. Each
Right.
one of us is independently, fully informed. And the belief that there's something out there that could be the same is a belief in more than one thing going on. If you want to leave all that stuff alone,
right,
just know that the unique God being that you are is in charge and at the helm all the time, whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
And you have in your every experience exactly what will prompt you to be yourself rather than the belief of yourself. We're not two-legged animals struggling to survive. We're God being expressed and reflectively present, calling itself Betty or Craig or Kim.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I look at, what I think about what came up for me is I think about the story of the elephant
Yep.
and the people. Do you know that story? Because I don't know it perfectly, but
Anne Johnstone wrote it.
that's right. And it's the story of the elephant. And each blind person was a blind person. They went up and they were feeling the elephant.
Yep.
And they each had their own perspective of what it was. They didn't know it was an elephant.
Yep.
And
It
so
was wonderful because the one that got there and felt the leg, the elephant's leg, he wrapped his arm around it and he said, "Oh, this is a tree. It's a tree trunk. And it's tall and big and powerful. Oh, I can use this. It will give me shade." They had a whole story going on about their belief of what it was.
right.
Yeah.
And the other one had the tail, right? And thought it was the rope, a rope.
He could use a rope
Yeah.
in his daily living.
And what about the trunk? Was there?
I can't remember the details, but I should look that back up.
Right. But the whole idea here is that we each have our view of reality.
Yeah.
The
And
one
we live
reality-
within that view.
Say that again, Mom. Sorry.
We live ourselves within that view.
Yeah.
The fact is, we live ourselves as we are, not as it is.
Yeah.
Perfection is what is. And my experience of that more nearly approximate perfection when I drop the idea that Betty is the thing I see in the mirror.
Yeah.
That's the ID label. But who I am is the reflective presence of God being.
Right. So now I'm gonna ask some questions, but let's draw this into the current scenario that we're all living in. Who knew that in our world that we experience that we would be on, home quarantine, that we would be, kind of hibernating in place is what I like to call it. But who knew that this would be what we're facing? And yet I see a lot of really great positives out of it. And then I also see a lot of fear that's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so given that everyone's got their attention on this, like in ways that it's shifted our whole reality, really, and all of our habits are different. We can't, in many ways, we can't even execute our habits anymore. So let's look at now, given that what you said around CSR from Christian Science Re-Explored, objects of sense have existence because sensing must have a sensed for its self-conscious identity. Form follows function.
Yeah.
So relate that to the reality that we're finding ourselves in right now.
Well, again, taking a step out of Margaret's seminar in '73 in LA, she said, just look at it as if it were a play on the stage. Here's this play on the stage. And all these characters are doing whatever they do. And instead of getting caught up in, I don't like him, he shouldn't be there doing that. You say, oh, he's playing a part in a play and they're presenting an idea. So what's the idea? So we're looking really at our belief and our experience of health and our belief and our experience of cause and our belief and our experience of who we are in the matter of who we're being. So you want to allow the play to go on in order to have the whole idea flesh itself out.
Right. And it will anyways, right? It's going to go on in the way it's going to go on. And there's not a lot. Okay, well, we just lost Betty, but there's not a lot that you can do. And I'm going to see if I can get Betty back on. She just literally disappeared. So there's not a lot that you can do with the happening. It's going to unfold, and we can argue with it. We can be at odds with it. We can love it. We can have an opinion about it. We can, all the things that come up that we could do, and it's going to flesh itself out, right? It's going to, no matter what your perspective on it is. So why not live with power and dominion in any case? I'm just seeing if she can get back in. There she is. Hold on. I'm going to bring her in. Hey, way to go, Mom. You got yourself off and you got yourself back on.
Yep. Amazing.
I know.
So where were we?
So basically you said, let it play itself out, right? Like be permissive with the pictures. I think what you were saying.
Well, like you were watching a drama on the stage.
Yeah.
You would not sidetrack yourself by spending a lot of time hating one of the characters.
Well, I don't know.
You would be looking at what's the story here?
Right, exactly. So when you look at, what's going on, you said, let it play out. And I'm like, well, it's going to play out whether you like it or not. So what I was saying was you can hate it. You can love it. You can be in argument with it. You can have a judgment about it. You can, you know what I mean? All that stuff. You can have certain areas that you agree with and certain areas that you don't like and all that kind of stuff. But all of that is just more of the perception. It's more of, it's not, it's going to play out, right? No matter what. Say that again.
What you're bringing up there is very helpful because you can see that if you are going to be in an argument with the play, number one, you're not idea conscious on what's going on. You're personally affronted. And that has to do with things like blood pressure. That has to do with well-being, has to do with your ability to relax. It has you forget who you are, all of that stuff. And when we engage in that and indulge in that, that's what we have. So if you will stay with the idea, you will walk through having the whole picture clear for yourself.
Right. So now I want to back up and say, when you stay with the idea, and you talked about idea conscious. So talk about that, distinguish that for me a little bit more.
Well, idea is reality present. And every play has a purpose. It has a story it's telling.
Yeah.
And if you sidetrack yourself with your own personal opinions and judgments, et cetera, you miss the whole point of the story. And all the story is doing is telling you who you are.
Right.
And what it's all about.
Yeah.
You miss that when you sidetrack yourself. So what it usually tells you is that all is well. Peace and joy and power are what's going on. And this is the way it looked this morning.
Right.
And all right, on we go.
Yeah.
So in Science and Health, Mrs. Eddy says on page 353, the Christianly scientific real is the sensuous unreal. Now, think about that for a minute. The Christianly scientific real, reality itself, is the sensuous unreal. She means exactly that. There's just one being, one God, one presencing, one reality.
Right.
That's what's going on. And that which you see is reality, present, functioning, the way you allow it to show up for you. It always shows up the way you are seeing yourself, the way you are living yourself. So it's helpful stuff. I just want you to get beyond the idea that your everyday in and out language living, humanly speaking, is not something to deny, not something to ignore, not something to forget about. It's actually you talking to yourself in understandable language. And you're saying, well, yeah, let's get on with it. Yeah, I got it. Okay. Then all right, on we go. Instead, we say, well, I don't like him. I'm not doing my arithmetic, so I don't like that teacher.
I don't know whoever did that.
I have no idea. it's valuable stuff to stay with uh, the fact that all of my daily event living is my language for perfection. It's me being whole. It's not somebody else trying to do something to me or for me or with me. There isn't anybody out there. The world I walk through is my world, unique to me. And I want to walk through it fully awake. Okay? So I want to go on with this a little bit longer because the fact is that reality, the thing that has me be, is always having identity, always has identity. Reality is the presence showing up called me in the world I walk through, all of it. Mrs. Eddy was right on in Unity of Good when she said, I am all, and the knowledge of aught beside myself, capital S on the self, is impossible.
Right. So
Okay?
everything that we experience is our own self-discovering, our discovering of ourself, our own divinity revealing to us.
Well, it's showing me who I'm being.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm being that there's a health issue. And my whole world is impacted. What am I going to do about that?
Right.
If I think that I'm being impacted, that I'm a little entity affected by the stuff I'm looking at, I'm hand in glove right in there with it.
Yeah.
And I'll have everything that goes with it. It's only when I be myself, which is whole, perfect, complete, joyous, free, reflective God presence, when I'm being that, then I allow the language to do its thing because it will always show up supporting me and showing me what I'm believing about myself so I can let it go. Oh, I think something over there is happening to my world, to me. Impossible. I don't give it permission unless I think the belief about it is really happening. It's really going on like that. Oh my, oh my. And it is persuasive and it is threatening when I'm belief that I'm living on a human belief level. So what I do with that belief level is follow the rules.
Mm-hmm.
If they tell me to stay home, I stay home. If they tell me I should have a face mask to go to the store, I have a face mask. I should wear gloves, I wear gloves. I don't fight with the language. The language is my own best way to live myself whole. So there's no fight or argument with the language. But the language is just showing me where I'm standing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm reminding myself every moment that all is infinite mind. And this is what it looks like. Oh, it's not really some terrible pandemic. It's mind saying, pay attention to health. What is health? Pay attention to being. What is being? Do you get to vote? No. God being is always at the standpoint of perfection. And that reflective presence is all there is to me. On we go.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I got a quote from Diane today on text that she sent me this. It's from Margaret Laird. If we were to be of value to the human race, we must be scientists, not propagandists.
Exactly.
And I think that
propagandist, you see, is based on the belief that there are others out there, something over there outside of my consciousness,
right,
that can do something for me, with me, by me, at me. None of it's true.
Right.
I am all.
Yeah. So I thought that was just perfect for the time right now for the conversation.
Very nice.
Really look at that because, and that's, Margaret Laird, had, all of her writings had something.
Next time you get a quote from Diane, tell her to give you the page and the line number.
Okay, I will do it. All right. So anyways, yeah, if anyone has any questions and you want to do some comments, we have 2 comments coming in. We have one, Kate Pabst. All right. Are you breathing? Are you grounding? Are you orienting? Look at the shadows from the sun streaming onto the wall. Laugh at the absurdity of it all. Feel the anger, feel the connection when looking into strangers' eyes. The fear, the love, the humanity. This is the gift of being alive and not knowing. Be present. It's the only place we can be. So that's what she just said here. That was Kate who had that comment to say. So at any rate, yeah, so what else do we have here? We have more. You have a whole nother paragraph to go, but what else do you want to say about this? Because anyone who wants to send in a comment or type anything or do some likes or some loves or anything like that, we would love the engagement and the interaction. So
yeah, I just want to go back to this idea that I heard on Margaret's seminar. If I can take my everyday living and treat it just like I'm in a play, and this is a story that's being told, and be who you are and let the story unfold, you'll be free as a breeze.
Yeah.
Yeah. Allow it to be.
Yeah.
Whenever we take issue with the story, we're stuck with it.
Yeah.
And we're stuck with all that goes with that. So just allow it to be. I can't say that often enough. Yeah. Leave it alone.
Yeah, because as soon as we take issue with it, as soon as we start mucking with it all, then and we get all absorbed in it, then we're limited by the picture. We become a victim of the picture, and it's our own point of view of the one reality. Then we start to become a victim of that.
You're trapped by your own belief.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's nothing outside of you.
That's right. And I'm reminded of the statement, head east and just keep heading east. So you keep heading east. And then you realize that if you just turn around, you're as far east as you can ever be.
Yeah.
Right.
And while you're heading east, you're as far west as you can ever be.
That's correct. Right.
Yeah. Just one thing going on.
Yeah.
Really good. So there was one other thing I wanted to bring out too.
It was a paragraph on the same page, 353, starting on 13. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, yeah. There's a great line. What line is it? Wait a minute, I'll see. Line 14. There's a little sentence that says, time has not yet reached eternity.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to see that time is actually our best concept of infinity. It's here and it's gone, here and it's gone, here and it's gone. It doesn't drag from 1 minute into the next. It's gone in the next minute, the next minute, the next minute, right on down the line. There is no connection. I don't, you know what that does? That takes you away from the belief that you have to recuperate from something, that there is a lag before you can be whole and free. There isn't any, except the one you put there.
Yeah.
Right now, perfection is the name of the game. When I'm in sync with that, I don't have any recuperative stuff.
Right.
You see this when you realize that you get up in the morning and you think, well, I didn't sleep too well last night. I guess this will be a hard day. Well, you can live it that way, or else you can say, wait a minute. Am I an object that has to sleep in order to be okay? No, that's just language. And you leave it alone. And you find you're just fine all day. You go right on.
Yeah.
Do not allow your beliefs about the way things look to you dominate the way things are for you.
That is a good quote. Don't allow the way things look to you or for you to dominate the way things
are
for you.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. And nothing occurs out there. It's all right now, right here. All of it. whole, perfect, complete, right here, right now. Seen as the story of what's health all about.
Yeah.
Seen as, for instance, in the past year, we've looked at the political situation and we're either seeing it as in trouble or we're seeing that's the way it looks. But government is self-government. And right now, I'm just fine, thank you.
Right.
Right now, right now, right now.
Yeah.
And I don't fall into jumping all over the players on the stage.
Right. So what's a final word you want to leave us with? And then and we'll call a wrap on it. But what do you want to leave people with? Final word, given everything that we've got going on, what we're looking at, how people are dealing with it, all of that. What's something that can leave you really powerful? And I think this whole conversation has left me in a place of more power and freedom and all of that as I look around and I want to get attached to this or to that. But
yeah, and we will. And the thing that you've learned, you've heard me say this before and you've said it, but thank you for sharing.
right.
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 We all do that. Oh, I left my whatever at home. Thank you for sharing. As
Right.
if that could dominate the peace and joy and power present right here, right now.
Right. It's always available.
Yeah.
Peace and joy and power
And
is
whole.
always available. It's all whole. It's all perfection.
Yeah, and I thought it was just a fun view to be able to look at the human event, whatever it is, as a play on the stage.
Yeah.
Developing an idea. And the idea is whole and complete, reality present.
Yeah.
Here's the story about it. On we go.
Right. Yeah, I like that. The other thing that has been really helpful for me in all of this is as I feel limited, as I feel like a limitation, I stop and I look at it and I say, well, is there any limit to the divinity of who I am? Is that define my divinity? Does that define my wholeness? And I think, well, of course, how could it? It can't. And then I just let it be. And just asking the question and just taking pause before I get all wrapped up in something.
I get tickled because I've used the example a lot of times of the game on the Monopoly board.
Yeah.
So I'm being the shoe. And then when you say, well, am I limited? And I'm thinking the shoe is saying, am I limited?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That which sits in a chair doesn't think.
That's right.
So it's the divinity present, consciousness being.
Yeah, without that, there's nothing.
Yeah. Right.
There would be no concept if there weren't reality present.
Right.
You can't have a concept of nothing.
Correct. Well, this is really good.
Thank you.
I just want to say that the website is scientificmetaphysics.org, and there's lots of materials and books and writings and different events and teleconferences and things you can participate in. And if this has been of value to you, awesome. That's what we're here for, doing these lives. And I look forward to being back here again.
Oh, and one other thing, if this is of value, let us know.
Yeah.
We'll do these little short Facebook blogs periodically.
Right. They're called Facebook Lives, Mother.
Facebook Live?
Yes.
Okay.
We're live. We're doing this whole thing right now live.
Right.
They didn't have this when you were a kid.
You're not kidding. Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys very much. That's over and out for now. And go out and have a powerful, powerful rest of your week and weekend. And really look at that, play with the idea that was identified here. What if it's all just the play playing itself out and you get to be, in that and just see what that opens up for you. Anyways.
Not only in that, but being that.
That's right. Being that. So until next time, it's over and out. Thanks, Mom. We'll do this again.
All right.
Bye, everybody.